Faranad, can you help me understand something? I keep hearing about hazard identification, HAZID, and hazard and operability study, HAZOP, in rig safety meetings. I know both are hazard assessments, but what's the actual difference?
Great question, Gabrielle. They're both essential, but very different in their focus, timing, and depth. Let me break it down simply. HAZID stands for hazard identification. It's a high-level, broad review done before operations start, especially during planning stages, rig move, rig up, or well site preparation. HAZOP, on the other hand, is hazard and operability study. It's a deep dive technical review of a process system, usually during or after the design stage. It examines what can go wrong if something deviates from design intent, like a valve sticking or flow reversing.
So hazard identification is more general and hazard and operability study technical.
Exactly. Think of it this way, hazard identification. It's like walking around the rig site with experienced eyes and asking, what hazards are here? What can hurt someone, spill something, fall, explode, or block access? Hazard and operability study is more like sitting in a room with the P&ID and asking, what happens if flow stops here? Or if pressure goes too high? Or if an operator forgets to open a valve?
Got it. Can you give me real examples from the rig for each one?
Sure. Let's say we're moving and rigging up a 2000 HP land rig. Before we start lifting or assembling anything, we conduct a hazard identification session. During the session, we identify the following. 1. Dropped object. Risk. While raising the mast, the monkey board and crown block are above the rig floor. If tools or bolts are left unsecured, they could fall and hit workers. Right pointing arrow. Control. Enforce 100% tool tethering, install netting, and set an exclusion zone below. 2. Pinch point hazard. When aligning the substructure base plates, the rig up crew uses hydraulic jacks and chain blocks. There's a risk of crushed fingers and hands. Right pointing arrow control. Use taglines, wear impact gloves, assign a dedicated signalman. 3. Overhead crane collision. The crane is lifting the top drive skid, but there's also a forklift operating nearby. Without coordination, there's a risk of collision. Right pointing arrow control. Assign a rig move controller, color-coded lifting zones, and communication radios. 4. Temporary power lines, the generator cables for lighting crosswalking areas without protection. That's a trip hazard and fire hazard. Right pointing arrow control, secure cables overhead or under protective covers, mark walk paths clearly. 5. Blocked escape route. During rig up, scaffolding and welding materials are placed near the V-door. That blocks the emergency evacuation route from the rig floor. Right pointing arrow control, predefine emergency egress paths and enforce clearance zones during work planning. This is hazard identification. We're not analyzing the internal systems, we're identifying and controlling general hazards around people, equipment, and the environment.
That's very practical. It's like a full body scan of the rig before it starts working. What about hazard and operability study, then?
Now let's look at hazard and operability study. Imagine we're preparing for a high pressure well. We conduct our HAZOP on the mud circulation system to identify what can go wrong if something behaves differently than expected. We pick a node, the discharge line from the triplex pump to the standpipe manifold. We apply the guideword, no flow. We ask, what happens if there's no flow from the mud pump? Cause, suction line is blocked, suction valve is closed, or the pump fails mechanically. Safeguards, suction line pressure indicator, automatic trip on low suction pressure, operational checklist. Action, add a pressure sensor with alarm, daily strainer inspection routine. Next, we apply the guideword, high pressure. Cause, choke partially closed during kill operation, blocked line downstream, or valve partially shut. Consequence, standpipe hose may burst, fluid loss, high pressure exposure to personnel. Safeguards, pressure relief valve, burst disc, rig alarm system. Action, validate pressure rating of all lines, perform relief valve testing, simulate well control response with crew. Another node could be the trip tank monitoring system. We apply, no level change, during circulation. Cause, sensor failure, tank overflow, or well taking kick. Consequence, undetected influx, blowout risk. Safeguard, manual tank checks, high, low level alarms, secondary sensor. Action, train foreman on manual monitoring, calibrate sensors weekly. Hazard and operability study drills down into design integrity, instrumentation behavior, and operational deviation, not just physical or general hazards.
So hazard and operability study is like playing what if scenarios on the rig systems.
Exactly, and when used together, they build a full safety net, physical, procedural, and operational.